Hey guys, I know I haven't posted in a while, so here's an update. Right now, just since she's down, I'm putting on the AC actually right now. If there's anything you guys want to see since the car's down and exploded right now, and everything's taken apart, just let me know. But a couple of updates we got going on here. We are actually doing a Calvo full sequential upgrade for the transmission. My transmission was whining. Like I said before, in the last roll race, we destroyed it. So there's a couple of upgrades we're going to be going through. To get the transmission out, it was actually pretty easy. It wasn't too bad. Let's go ahead and crawl under here really quick for you guys. So as you can see, the transmission's out. It's fairly simple. You can take actually the transmission out without taking the bell housing off. Makes it a little bit easier. The hardest part is there's a bolt like right up here. That one was a pretty pain, and then this one over here was a pretty big pain. We had to do a bunch of extensions and stuff like that. It came out relatively simple though. So there was that, and then you just have to make sure everything's disconnected before you take the transmission out. And then the cross member, which is here, is just the 4 bolts, and then the 2 bolts up in the transmission. And the drive shaft is just like any other drive shaft. You just take the drive shaft off. As for the shifter was extremely easy, and I thought it wasn't going to be as easy. I thought that was going to take me the longest, because I thought I was going to have to blow apart the entire center console here, but I didn't. Really, you just pop off that plate right there, because it's just clipped in, and then after that, the shifter just screws in to there. So you just unscrew it, and then that's all you gotta do for the shifter part. So it's pretty easy to take the transmission out actually. That is getting shipped on Monday, and then we'll see how long it takes to get back. Calvo said about a week to get there, a week to rebuild, and a week to come back. So we'll see. I still have to do all the tuning and all that stuff. I'm not sure exactly how the new shifter, the sequential shifter, is going to go in there, if I have to build a bracket or anything like that. So I'll be updating that stuff like that, how hard it is to actually fabricate all that stuff. Shouldn't be too hard. Other things that are going to be in the work is we have transmission cooler and rear diff cooler, since I do a lot of track time. They say anything more than 20 minutes for track time, you should install cooler. So I'm going to be doing that. I got to fabricate brackets. This little intercooler is for the transmission, and they got the pumps, and then this one over here is for the actual rear diff, and it actually has a fan on it and everything like that. And that's going to go, you know, just if you ever look at Doug Shelby's stuff, it's basically the same thing. I paid, I think it was like $100 a pump, maybe $50 for each cooler, and then the controllers, I'm going to be using an external electronic fan. These high temp fan controllers I have here, I got 2 of them. I'm going to mount them in the trunk, and they go off of temperature and all that stuff. I'm just going to go in the trunk and then do all that stuff. So that's going to be another thing in the works right now. I'm waiting on AN fittings and hoses, and then we just got to fabricate a couple brackets and then install those bad boys, and then I'll be done. The other things I want to do while it's down is change the brake pads. This last track day I had really bad brake fade. I mean, I've got about 12,000 miles on those old brake pads, so yeah, I knew it was coming. As for the clutch, we're going with the 9th Moto 4-disc. It's just sitting over here on the parts shelf with all the other parts. We got that bad boy. We're going to throw that in. I need to wait for the transmission to come back though, because they do not send you a clutch alignment tool for that. In the instructions it says use the transmission input shaft to do that, but I'm going to be sending the transmission off. So I'm going to actually have Calvo send me back all the internals of the transmission, so I can use this front shaft as basically a clutch alignment tool. So I can do that instead of trying to jam the transmission up there and align a clutch at the same time. I figure that'd be probably a pain in the ass, so we'll just do that. The clutch actually, for pushing whatever 1200 horsepower and doing some roll races and all the beating I've done on it, actually doesn't look too bad. There's still a lot of material left over, as you can see. Nothing broke. You can see a couple of hot spots on the disc here. There's a couple of hot spots, you can see them. But for being a stock clutch, it held up pretty well. You can't see the second disc, but you could kind of see down in there. It's got about the same amount of meat left on it. I thought there's gonna be something, chunks missing and all that stuff. I mean, it never made any noise or anything like that, and it was hard to tell if the clutch was actually slipping or not because of all the amount of power I was putting down, and most of the time I was hitting traction control and all that stuff. But I'm pretty surprised with how much this clutch took and handled for having I believe I hit 47,000 miles on the car over at Button Willow, actually last Sunday. So she held up pretty well, not too bad. Another update that we're going to be doing is a flex fuel sensor for running E85. I got one of these bad boys for 85 bucks, I believe it was. It was 85 or 110, I don't remember, 120 bucks or whatever. That's just going to wire right into the Motec, and I need to wire up all that stuff, but that just goes in line. I'm waiting for AN fittings for that. I only have one fitting, and that's just going to go underneath the car, and I got to wire that in. Other things we're going to be updating is I'm going to be fabricating and doing a parachute mount for the track use. I got the parts on order for that. It's just the bracket, and I have some old roll cage from one of my other race cars that I'm just going to use. I have to take off the back bumper and all that stuff to do that, but I don't think it's going to be that hard. I think the parachute was like 450 bucks, and the mount, the little pinnable mount, so you don't have to run it all the time, was 89 bucks, and then the actual release handle was 120 bucks for a 12-foot cable. So we'll be doing that. That's another thing that I need to do. And then the last upgrade that we're going to be doing is some forge line bead locks with R888 RRs in the rear, just to hook a little bit better. I got those on order. Those will be here a couple of weeks or something. I'm not sure exactly. I don't know if I ever showed you guys the external oil cooler that I made and fabbed up. But this is where I mounted it. It sits there. The little side duct that usually goes, right here in your bumper, I had to obviously remove that because this was in the way. So the ducting in the bumper comes right about here. So there's not a whole lot of airflow to this, but I have the fan that's on the back. That is just in line with basically it goes from the engine to the turbos. So the turbos get colder, a little bit colder oil than the rest of the engine. I see temperatures without the fan even running or anything like that. My temperatures for oil, for just driving around, my temperatures used to be like 198, 197, 187, just like the regular coolant temperature that I normally see. But with this, even just driving around without the fan even on, my temperatures are usually sitting at like 170, about 173, 175, right around there. When I went to the Button Willow, my old oil got up to about 220, but that I didn't have the fan hooked up or anything like that, so it was still just doing this. But normally I would bet with the turbos and all that stuff over at Button Willow, I probably would have seen way higher temps, and that was after 20 minutes. I got up to about 220. My coolant was about 207, so a little bit colder than the oil, but again, the turbos were taking a lot of putting a lot of temperature into that oil. As soon as I hook up the fan, I'm not sure how I'm going to wire that fan in yet. If I'm just going to run it off of the radiator fans, or if I'm going to try and wire it into the Motec. I'd like to wire it into the Motec, but I'm not sure exactly how all the wiring, if all that stuff goes for that yet. I'm going to do a little bit of research on all that. Also, the other thing I'm going to need to do as soon as I get the transmission in is I need to tune the transmission. I haven't done any of that stuff, but I have all the settings, and think I have it figured out. So we'll see and be going through all that stuff. If there's anything you guys want to see, like I said before, everything starts going back together, let me know. Since it's taken apart right now, I could pretty much just show you guys anything you want to see or how I did it, anything like that. Keep watching for updates over the next couple. Hopefully, have it all done in the next like 2 months. We'll see. So keep a lookout for that. Thanks for watching, guys.